Good evening and welcome to ISRC TV for the sixth round of the Aquiver eSports Championship at the infamous Sebring International Raceway. Situated in the Highlands country, Florida, this track, after bringing us races such as Formula One in the late 50s and having hosted series such as WEC and IndyCar, now renowned for its 12 hours of Sebring in the IMSA Championship, this track promises to provide excellent races no matter what cars are out on track. The LP2 cars are about to start qualifying for 15 minutes before handing over to the GT3s for the final 20 minutes of qualifying. Finally, my name is Isaac Barclay, and joining me in the commentary box is Martin Pearson.
Good evening, Isaac. How are we?
Splendid. Yourself?
Yeah, very good, thank you. Looking forward to another fantastic evening of racing in the Aquiver eSports Championship. Should be a good race, this one. Sebring, it's a fantastic circuit. It's a classic track, isn't it? So, I think the drivers will enjoy it, and so will we.
It never fails to let us down, the Aquiver eSports Champion, and at a track as well, such as Sebring. I doubt it's going to let us down, as we're on board at the moment with Theo Schroeder. He's one of few drivers to have attended every round so far this championship. Him and Marcus have attended every round, and doing so, that means that Theo's currently sat second in the points. He managed to get a win outright at it wasn't Watkins. What's the second round of our championship again, Martin? You might be able to remember better than I can. At Mosport Park, if I'm not mistaken. That's put him in good contentions for today. See if he can convert that over after having a run of fairly average results. But he's got strong competition today. This is the biggest field we've seen in our P2s. 8 cars out on track with some new names as well. We've got drivers such as Charles G. Presley and Gabriel Salmoner, who are new to the championship.
Yeah, I believe Charles is a regular Aquiver Motorsports driver, and he won the ISRC 24 Hours of Le Mans in the LMP2 car, I believe. So we'll be interested. I believe he did. Yeah, so
he was in the third place car.
Ah, right. Sorry.
Yeah, no, well, yes. So Aquiver managed to get both first and third very impressively at ISREC Le Mans, and you can tell actually because on Charles's car, I've just noticed that he's still got the banner. If you look on the banner, it's got the Intercontinental Sim Racing Endurance Challenge little banner across the window, which is a nice touch to see. I all approve of that. But as they've just come across now, and I believe they've just set their first time qualifying, Charles setting a 1:47.6. He's just under a second off of the provisional pole sitter of Marcus Arholm, but it looks like there's a fairly large gap of half a second between Marcus and the next car. So at the moment, it's looking like Marcus is going to have a fairly easy race here if things progress the way that they are at the moment. Still waiting for 3 of our drivers to go out and set a lap time. Larry Corpella, who is another Aquiver Motorsports driver. He's shown up to the last 4 races. This is his 5th appearance in the championship. Leif Reichel as well, who we've seen out on track a couple times before, and Daniel Thomas, who is a newcomer to the series as well. Sorry. So it's Daniel, Daniel, Gabriel Solman, and Charles G. Presley will be the newcomers today, as we're on board with Daniel, who's about to cross the line to set his first flying lap.
Oh, no, I think he's just coming to a stop. He's just set his first flying lap, and that puts him in P2. So a fantastic first attempt for Daniel Thomas there. Let's see who else we've got out on track at the moment. Gabriel Solomon is one of our non-Aquiver Motorsports cars, so he'll be very easy to spot this evening.
It's a rare sight to see in this championship, a non-Aquiver driver, but he's got a very striking livery on there. I've seen that in a couple of races, in official races around. I don't know which team it's from, if it is a team livery or if it's just a general iRacing livery. If anybody in chat knows what the livery is, they could please let us know in chat, or can contact us via our Twitter at official_ISRC. And we would appreciate you letting us know what that is. As Gabriel's warming his tyres up.
He's doing some, very energetic warming of the tyres there. I'm not too sure what the track temp is for today. Let's have a quick look if it will show. Sorry about this. There we are. So wind speed isn't too high, but 25 degrees ambient, but 32 degrees track temperature, which is quite high. But yeah, obviously wanting to get a good first lap in as Solomon goes around the first corner.
Interesting left. That's almost coming from a westerly direction, which is good for. Which would be good for Gabriel in qualifying, because through the tight S section after the hairpin here, that means he's going to have headwind, so he's going to have a lot of downforce coming through this sector here, which would be very beneficial for him, as it's the highest downforce part of the track. As we ride on board with him coming through the hairpin, slowest corner on the track here, down into first gear. It'll be the only time that we'll see these LMP2 cars touch first gear around this track. He'll be powering up the gears before the rather difficult braking zone of turn number 10, Cunningham Corner. You can take a lot more speed in here than you initially think you can. Gabriel taking slightly slower than we should be seeing some of the other guys doing in the race so far, but we'll see where this will end him up before he breaks down hard towards turn 13, Tower Corner. We'll see a lot of cars getting this wrong, as unlike turn number 10, if you take too much speed into that, it's very easy to fall off, dip a wheel on the grass and loop it round. Coming through the double left-hander of Bishop Corner now before turn number 15. This is very wide and open here, very deceiving. You want to go a lot faster through here than you actually can before you come through Le Mans Corner and onto the long back straight. Gabriel gets a very large step of oversteer there coming onto the back straight. That's not going to help his run, but see where this will put him for his first competitive flying lap. As he comes down Sunset Corner, this is a very difficult corner to get right. We'll be seeing a lot of different drivers taking different lines through there. There's not one particular line to take which is fastest, but that there looked fairly tidy as he comes across the line to settle a flying lap time, and that has put him not a change of position. He's managed to improve by 1/10, but that hasn't affected where he is out on track at the moment.
Good onboard lap there with Daniel Thomas. So our other non-Aquiver Motorsports driver for this evening in LMP2 is Finn Norgard Pedersen, and is doing a very good job in his Obsidian Edge LMP2 Dallara. He joined after a couple of rounds, I believe. I think he was round 2 or 3 that he joined the series, but he's almost in the championship lead.
I know after having such a late coming into the championship, he's doing really well to get out on top. He's had 2 wins in the second place so far. His only second place was at Hockenheim, where unfortunately he got scuppered via traffic, so that meant that he was unable to get a good result there. But he's going to be pushing to get the win here. He's got the pace to, and he's so far showing it in qualifying. He's second at the moment. Only 3/10 off of provisional pole, but I'm sure that'll all change, so we've still got another 5 minutes left.
So with 5 minutes left in our LMP2 qualifying, we have Leif Weichel of Aquiver Motorsports at the top at the moment with a 1:46.3, followed by Finn Norgard Pedersen, who's on screen at the moment with a 46.7, followed closely by Marcus Solholm, also on a 46.7. Another 10th back, we've got Theo Schroeder over at 46.8. Charles Presley sitting there on a 46.9, so pretty close. From second through to, well, 6th really, with Daniel Thomas 47.1, Gabriel Solomon on a 47.6, and Larry Capello a little bit off pace at the moment, but we know he's got pace in the race, that's for sure. 48.5, I'll be interested to see what he can do the rest of the 5 minutes or 4 minutes left in qualifying.
Yeah, 5 minutes, still enough time for any of these drivers to get out and set a flying lap. And this is when the track will be the most busiest. We've got 6 cars out on track at the moment, and we're looking at the moment at our second place car, Finn Norgard Pedersen from Obsidian Edge Racing, making his way down towards the hairpin. And I'm not saying the hairpin just because it is a hairpin. It is the name of the corner. They have named it hairpin. Just so you don't get confused if there was a real name to go with it.
Let's take a quick look at Leif Weichel, who is our current P2 and overall championship leader. Pole sitter at the moment. He's currently on an outlap, doing aggressive tyre warming, as we've seen the rest of the LMP2 field do this evening. We haven't seen that at previous rounds of the championship, but maybe I thought the concrete of Sebring would be highly abrasive, so not too sure what the strategy is there, but or why they haven't been doing it in previous rounds. But if it works, I guess.
Maybe that's just what the racing time will need, is some extra tough stuff to try and get some heat into the tyres. Like you said, maybe they just need to be shredded to pieces before they're actually optimum. But I won't judge these guys. I think Dan was like faster than I could. You know, he's seeing some really aggressive driving there. He's going to be spinning out in a second if he's not if he's not too careful. So Life White Shell will have one more flying lap once he comes around here, which will be a chance for him to solidify his provisional pole position. Making his way down past the national pitch straight. This is the Ullman straight, but you've got the national pitch there, which is going by, which you've seen other championships use. WEC used that most memorably 2 years ago in the 8-hour long race that they did there. It was 1,000 miles, if I'm not mistaken. Here we go. Life White Shell coming across the line to start his flying lap. This is a very technical corner, turn number 1. So he's getting extremely close to the outside corner, and then he'll be down 1 gear and then straight back on power again. And you've got to get as close to the wall as you can on the inside. It's very difficult, and I imagine we're going to see a couple of drivers tapping that wall and making mistakes throughout the races. You do have to be right on the edge there in order to make all the time you can, especially in these shorter races. Coming under the Corvette sign now, down towards the hairpin of turn number 7. This will be the prime overtaking spot for both GTs and LMP2s. It's the heaviest braking zone. Life White Shell taking a near perfect line through there. You can cut a lot of that left-hander through there before you come into Fangio. This slight kink round to the left before this difficult Cunningham corner, as we were saying before. Car's looking awfully stable through all of it.
Awfully stable. Plenty of downforce
Awfully
there, Isaac.
stable. Awfully brilliantly stable, as I probably should have said. As we see him making his way up towards Bishop. This will be quite a difficult spot when they come through to lap traffic, because it's very one line for the GTs. They're going to be wanting to stick to that racing line as much as they can, but the P2s can move offline, and so it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen. And because there's so much runoff, we might be seeing cars venturing outside the white lines to make these overtakes when it's coming through to lapping the traffic for the first time. Life White Shell coming up to finish his lap. He might get another one in, actually. There's still another 20 seconds left of qualifying, or left of his qualifying, rather. And if he can start a lap, which he's about to, he'll be able to finish that. So he comes across the line. Is that going to solidify his pole position? As he goes even faster, 46.2, that's put him nearly half a second ahead of the second place car, Finn Nordgaard Pedersen. He's going to have to do an awfully good job in order to catch up and get that all-important pole.
Yeah, he'll have started. This will be his final lap. Will be Nordgaard Pedersen. So if it's now or never. I mean, Life White Shell has clearly found a difference to the rest of the field today so far. Yeah, as you say, half a second is quite a considerable amount around such a circuit, and especially when second through to 6th in LMP2 are covered by less than 2/10. So. Yeah, and then you got 4th through to 6 with Schroeder, Presley, Thomas, just over half a tenth. So that's fantastic stuff. And shows how competitive these guys are in this car.
I think it's all going to add up to an absolutely cracking race as we see Pedersen coming through to finish his final flying lap. Pit exit is now closed and will be until all of the P2s finish their laps. As he comes out of the final corner, he's going to do his best to improve. And does he? Yes, he does, but not by enough. 300th off of pole position. Nordgaard Pedersen is going to be starting in second, with Life White Shell now with a solid first place, though he's on another lap. Is he going to try and go even faster? I'll be surprised if he can, because that is one heck of a lap time he's done right there.
Yeah, as he comes around turn 17, Sunset Corner as it's also called, power down. Straight line, using maybe a bit of side draft against the wall. Does he manage to improve? No, not that time. 46.26. But that concludes our LMP2 qualifying. And whilst we wait for the GT3s to go out, let's have a look at our championship standings. Sorry, bear with me 2 seconds.
So the GT3 pit exit has now opened, so we'll be seeing the GT3 cars venturing out onto track. We've got 2 BMWs, an Audi, and a McLaren out today. John Derrick in his McLaren. We've seen him with some very interesting fuel-saving strategies before, and we'll see if he can replicate those here today. As we look at our standings, Marcus Solholm, Aquiver eSports manager and organizer of the league, is currently sat ahead of the standings on 99 points. So far this championship, he's managed to win 2 of the races so far, rounds 1 and rounds 4. And getting 2 of the podiums has put him in a very competitive spot. Theo Schroeder's just behind, not having a brilliant qualifying today. Theo fourth place, sorry. But he just needs the points to try and close up that gap to Marcus. And then if you're looking just behind him, Finn Norgard Pedersen, he's qualified in 2nd place. Even if he wins this race and Theo and Marcus don't score any points, that'll put him still 4 points behind Marcus, but he's going to do all that he can try and close up this gap. Lowry Corpella's currently sat in 4th place, and Life Fight Shell in 5th. Hugh Haycock's 6th place in the championship. And then behind, we've got all the drivers who are yet to finish points. Dylan Cooper ventured out onto track last time round. Unfortunately, didn't finish, means that he scored no points. Daniel Thomas, Charles Presley, and Gabriel Solomon, it's their first time out on track in the Aquiver eSports Championship. So I don't have any points. And Stanley Delsunder, he's not appeared in any rounds yet. Hopefully we'll be seeing him out towards the end of the season.
Yep. Good to see a rundown of the championship and see how that lies. We now have our GT3 cars on track. So GT3 cars are split up into 2 categories of GT3 Pro and GT3 Am. And the pinkish sort of colour that we see here on the backing for John Derrick in his McLaren is he is a Pro entry, and then the more cyan or turquoise colour we have here for Silas is our Am Cup. Whoop, as Derrick's had a spin at the final corner and crashed into the wall.
It's a rather uncharacteristic mistake there from John Derrick. We don't often see him going around, but that's just left it all open for the other drivers as John Derrick escapes back to the pit lane to make his way out. It's interesting here, looking at all the drivers start their first flying lap. They're not very far apart. You'd have thought that they'd want to leave a gap to one another to try and get some clean air, but they're doing the exact opposite here. They're pretty much on one another's bumpers. Could you gain something in the draft here that I don't know about? Maybe these guys do, because it's rather uncharacteristic to see them so close in qualifying.
Yeah, weird going. I've just got the track map up there, and you've got, I think, Sebring's maybe 4 or 5 kilometers round, and you've got 3 cars all by themselves on it. I mean, we know that the BMW punches a pretty big hole and a pretty good hole in the air because it has a lot of frontal area, and therefore the balanced performance gives it a high power output as well as a result to balance that high frontal area. But yeah, I think Juan Miguel Sanchez Melenas will be loving the fact that he double toe in his Audi, which is better around the corners but in the mid-engine configuration, and yeah, won't be as quick down the straight as a result of the BOP that is applied to this category.
Yeah, I think he's going to be rubbing his hands together as we see them coming round onto the Ulmer straight now to finish the first of their qualifying laps, just sunset corner to get right. And as we see here, if you guys remember the line which the P2s took, which was not as wide, they were staying quite close through the corner. If we look here at the GT3, see how wide they're running out, actually almost in the background there. To me, that looks like Nikolai running a bit too wide out of the corner, but they take a lot further line out and then late apex on, as we see Sylvester's Levy starting his first qualifying lap, so he goes provisionally first down towards turn number 1. Just see how close he's getting there to that inside wall before running out as wide as he quite dares on the exit of turn 1. On the run down towards turn number 2, he'll be dropping down into 2nd gear before getting on throttle, up into 3rd briefly before coming down. This is a very difficult corner to get right here, and the P2s will need to be patient, or else we'll see a big accident there as they come through Big Bend, this kink through the right before bringing down towards turn number 7. And Levy has decided to abort this lap. Instead, we're going to ride on board with one of our pro drivers in the Audi, Juan Miguel Sanchez Molinas on his way through the hairpin and not quite anticipating how much the BMW was going to slow down for that corner from the looks of things.
Yes, the really interesting thing for me was at the first corner, when we were on board with Levi, you could hear how much he was having to wait to make sure he was confident on the exit of the corner, having so little downforce in comparison to the LMP2 machinery, that he really needed to be confident that when he got on the throttle he could get on it hard and make sure he didn't run wide at the exit of turn 1, but just jumping back to the pits because I think he bought at that lap thinking he wasn't any better than his first, and it was a pretty good first lap, but he's sitting on at the head of the GT3, the whole of the GT3 field, as Nikolajsen goes off there, and unfortunately into the wall. He will tow back to the pit lane and go again. Sorry, but as I was saying, so Levi is an AM car and at the top of the timing charts at the moment by a mere 1,000th over the man on screen, Juan Molinas. I wonder if they can break the 2-minute barrier if they've just got their first marker point down.
Very impressive if these drivers are able to improve. If Molinas, if I'm not mistaken, it's actually just two lap times the exact same time there. Both lap times 2:08.888. Sylvester Levy gave 2:08.887 so far. So brilliant consistency from Molinas, but not going to help in qualifying, I'm afraid. It's you try to go as fast as you can, not as consistent as possible. If you can do that in the race, he'll be laughing, but unfortunately not at the moment. As we see Sylvester doing the same approach as the P2s and weaving to try and get those tyres up to pressure. As he gets his K-car livery around the farm. If I'm not mistaken, it's a K-pop livery, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm not as into K-pop as you then, Isaac. I'll be honest, I wouldn't have a clue.
I could be honest with you, I've never listened to a bit of K-pop in my life, but I think I recognise some of those. It's not okay. Never mind. I take that back. I apologise. It's not a K-pop livery. From a distance, it looked like it was.
I think that might
Levy.
be. Yeah, I can see what you mean. I'm assuming it's just a bunch of his friends' faces on there, which is quite cute, you could say.
Yeah, it's good friendship. We might have to start doing that for the ISRC TV cars, getting some pictures of our faces out on there. As you see Levy coming into the hairpin now, BMW is going to be braking a bit earlier than the Audi and McLaren into that corner. They struggled to get slowed down. You really noticed it if any of you competed in the N24 last weekend. Weekend before last. The BMW at the end of the straight was braking a lot earlier than the other GT3s out on track. So I'm sure some of you might have been caught out by that. But one car which wasn't competing is this flamethrower of a car, the McLaren. John Derrick's at the wheel, and he's done a sterling job so far of after being 5 rounds into the championship, he's managed to win 5 times. So really impressive of him there to have such a big gap. Yeah,
so he's nearly so after 5 rounds, 25 points a round. He's sitting on 125 points, but Jonas Beckman, who hasn't appeared this evening, is the next best on 68 points. So we can't be far off. So we'd need a 100-point lead at the moment, as Derek goes to the top of the championship with top of the timing boards with a 2:03. Sorry, you were going to say, was it?
I've just worked out here. Sorry for butting in there, but if he wins today, that has sealed for him the championship. That'll put him on 150 points, and with only 75 points left for grabs, Jonas Beckman, who's on 68 points, that means that John Derrick will win the championship with 3 rounds remaining, if I'm not mistaken, Martin.
I believe you are not mistaken. As Levi's just gone off on his second flying lap. Decides to park it and tows back to the pit lane.
Yeah, very. A lot of these GTs having a bit of problems in qualifying, especially the BMWs getting that snap oversteer that they're known for on the exit of corners. Like, you think you got the power down all right, but then all of a sudden they slip and almost high side like a motorbike would and just throw you into the barrier. But yeah, it's impressive here. John Derrick and his McLaren have so far almost a third of the way into the 2/3 of the way into the championship, and you might have sealed it up already. So that's awfully impressive by any means. And it's a shame that Jonas Beckman isn't here to challenge for the championship.
Yeah, it is, but I think it. Yeah, Derek has shown absolute dominance, and I think the classiest, the best drive for him that we've seen this championship has been his performance at Mosport. That was absolutely incredible. How the championship runs GT3 cars to a 75% fuel load rule, and he managed, and usually a full fuel load lasts an hour, and with a race length of an hour, he managed to make 75% of his fuel allowance last the whole hour. It was a ballsy move. It took great courage from the start. But yeah, he managed to make it work, and that was fantastic. Yeah, he figured it out in in pre-race practice, and then committed to it early because to save that much fuel, he had to. And yeah, he just rolled through the Canadian hills to a win.
He did, and I remember speaking to him post-race. And he was saying that as he came out of the final corner, the engine spluttered and ran out of fuel, and he coasted across the finish line. And I've got to agree, that was his, in my opinion, his most impressive performance all year round. To be able to save, well, in this case, a third of a car's fuel tank over the course of an hour is incredibly impressive, and I think pretty much solidifies himself in the fuel-saving halls of fame. I'd be surprised if he could do the same here with this near flat racetrack that we've got here today.
Yeah, I think he's going to need a bit of a toe in his McLaren if he's going to do something like that today. But anytime you do a bit of fuel saving, you end up going a little bit slower than everybody else around you. So he'll be lucky if he can do it. But nonetheless, I'm sure we've seen when at other rounds he's at least been able to manage to go 2, 3, 4 laps more than the rest of the field. So nonetheless, I'm sure a bit of fuel saving will come into his race strategy today.
It always does seem to, but at the moment in qualifying, he's 5.5 tenths faster than the next car behind him. And if he carries that through the rest of the race, I think that'll almost seal the deal for him. It might be a bit early to say, but we'll see. The next car behind him is Nick Olshan, who is one of our AM drivers. Oh, sorry, it's not Nick Olshan. Sorry, apologies for that. It's Sylvester Levy. Sorry, I was reading my timing screens wrong there. So Sylvester Levy, only 1,000th ahead of Molinas, the next pro entry. As we say that John Derrick goes a full 1.04 seconds faster. He's breaking into the 2 minutes, and that is some serious pace to have in a GT3 car around here.
Yeah, and that goes to show that maybe with a bit of fuel saving, you'd be on pace with the rest of the cars out on track today. So, yeah, potentially on for another win. Finn's asking in chat whether we can have a camera inside John Derrick's fuel tank. I mean, I think we can have a camera. Maybe we actually need 2 cameras because maybe he's got that second fuel tank installed. Or maybe we need to get the scrutineers out there, the iRacing scrutineers, and make sure that that tank is the same size as every other tank in the championship.
Well, I think it would be a bit pointless, to be honest with you, because you put it in there and it'll be like watching paint dry. He drains fuel so slowly that nothing's going to happen. To be honest with you, although we'll speak to the race marshals and see if they'll allow us to put a camera inside this fuel tank and see what they'll say about it.
Yeah, well, maybe the corrosive environment won't do the camera any good, but it'll be worth a try, I reckon, at this rate. Find out his secrets.
It certainly will. It certainly will.
Maybe put a few eggs underneath his throttle pedal. Let's see if he does actually use the throttle pedal or not.
I reckon he only uses about a quarter of it. You bought the full thing, he might as well use it, but he clearly doesn't. As actually looking down as well for the first time, just the AM standings as well in our championship. Lee tied in at the lead are Jamie Daniels and Selena Colshan, and this is the first race which we've not seen not seen Daniel show up to. So that means that by default, Nikolson's going to take a lead of the championship by 25 points, and that's going to leave all the work for Daniels to do when he shows up in the rounds later on in the season.
Yeah, it's a shame not to see Daniels here tonight in his Omega Racing BMW, but yeah, no, it's certainly been top championship competitiveness so far, and yeah, he's going to have his work cut out, because at the moment they've just managed to swap all of their results, but in different orders. So yeah,
it's impressive to do any means. Being able to keep such close on the points after 5 rounds of racing, but they've managed to do it, and it just shows the competitiveness of the of iRacing today. A lot of drivers out there have had a lot of free time, still have a lot of free time over the past 18 months, and you can really see the quality of drivers and racing has really improved over the last year, and it's good to see iRacing improving in both pace and also popularity, which is very nice to see. Sylvester Love is going to be trying to improve on that first flying lap that he did. Is he going to be able to do so? Yes, but not by much. He improves by 0.02 of a second, putting him slightly further into second place as now riding on board with the man who's trying to get by him, Juan Miguel Sanchez Melenas, who is on a flying lap right now.
outlap, I believe, Isaac. Sorry.
So is it outlap? Okay, that means he'll have 1 flying lap then, because he'll come around, start this, and that'll leave 1 minute left of qualifying. So he'll have, comes around the corner, drivers will have 1 minute left from now to cross the line. And looking at my timing screens, none of the John Derek's going to make it, but that might be it to make another lap. So John Derek, we're expecting to be the last car in qualifying. It looks like Nikolson is on his last lap. Yes, he's not going to make it round again. So that means that John Derek and Sanchez are going to have 1 more lap, and Nikolson gets the finish lap that he's on. Nikolson's going to have his work cut out for him here. So he runs slightly wide at the apex of Cunningham Corner. We're coming into this difficult braking zone. You're coming across the track while braking. Try to get as close to these curbs as you can. You don't want to use the curbs too much at Sebring. They're quite elevated, almost a foot high in some places, it feels like. So he's going to try and keep up them as much as you can and just use these slightly flatter ones on this more open section of the track. As he comes through Le Mans Corner, running out very wide on entry. You're allowed to do that. iRacing doesn't give you an off track. As he gets well out of shape there, coming onto the back straight, onto the Ullman straight, as he tries to improve on that lap time. Only 0.05 from him to second place. That is incredibly close, half a tenth. He's going to be giving it all hell through this last corner to try and improve. Is he going to be able to? Getting on power as early as he dares, running out wide. He's going to keep as tight to this left wall as he can. And he comes across the line, and that he does not improve. So the best he's going to do is 4th place at the moment. So we'll adhere to Juan Melenas. Now he's going to have his work cut out for him, because if he doesn't improve, that means that John Derek has got a solidified pole, and he's not going to improve. He's run off the track. Yeah,
a bit too eager, taking a lot of curb and a little bit too much, unfortunately, there at Le Mans Corner onto the Ullman Straight, and yeah, paying the price. But I think he'll pull into the pit lane now. So our last person to set a lap time and set one even quicker than everybody else, he's already done that. Can he do it again? Is John Derek in his McLaren MP412C. Heads down the Ullman Straight now. His throaty 3.8 litre V6, I believe it is. Twin turbo. Lovely flames out the back of that around Sunset Corner. Over the bumps, taking it nice and cautiously. And across the line he'll come now. And unable to improve there. Actually set a lap time over 2 minutes. So that's unusual for John, I'd say.
Yeah, it's upsetting when somebody's race pace is faster than your qualifying pace. At least I find it's a common occurrence for myself. But John Derrick here having an absolutely dominant performance, shooting to the top of the GT3 timing sheets. We're going to have 35 seconds left before we jump through into qualifying. As we look at our pro standings, as we were just saying here, 125 points for John Derrick and Jonas Beckman on 68 points just behind. So if John Derrick wins today, that means he has solidified his championship and will... In fact, no, if he finishes second, either. So all he's got to do is finish the race today.
He needs 7 points. And I'm assuming the countback criteria is most wins, and by having 5 wins out of 9 race championship already, he automatically has that. So all that Derek needs is literally 7 points, and that will secure the championship for him.
And with only 2 pro cars running today, all he needs to do is finish, if I'm not mistaken, to...
Yeah, absolutely. Classification will be enough.
Put him atop, and you can see the other standings there. Jutta Korsman, Billy Fletcher, Matthias de Buschek, Hendrik Lickenhagen, Adam J. Pearce, and Vinces Loyola are other drivers to have scored points in the championship. Got 3 other drivers competing: David Gilmore, Louis Egerton, and Juan Sanchez. Unfortunately, not able to score points in the rounds that they competed in. As we look onto our grid, Lifelight Chell sets on a pole position with Finn Norgard Pedersen just behind. It's going to be a really competitive race between those two, so you're going to watch out for them. Then almost half a second back, Marcus Solholm and Theo Schroeder on the second row of the grid, with just behind Charles Presley making his first appearance of the championship, with Daniel Thomas, another first cover, just behind him. Gabriel Solman from Denmark is sat just behind, with Lauri Capella, the Finman, rounding out the back of the LMP2 grid. Just behind them, you've got John Deck for Rottenberry Racing, and as we said today, we've been speaking about it. If he wins today, he'll seal the championship. Sylvester Levy, first of our AM runners, is just behind him with Juan Molinas in third place. He's going to want to try and improve on that with Selena Kalshan. He's going to be trying to work on his gap in the AM standings. And a newcomer who's just joined during qualifying, Bruno Miranda. He's going to be trying to do the best he can from the back of the grid to score points. So he's got to just get past 4 cars on his opening lap to put him at the back of the P2 field. But he'll be one to keep an eye on to see if he can make his way up into some competitive points finishes. Just 45 seconds now till the drivers get moving away to start off the formation lap. They'll be doing one lap under yellow flag conditions before the pace car will pull into the pits and the drivers will be let loose for 1 hour long racing. They're going to have to all perform 1 pit stop, ideally no more, or in John's Derrick case, maybe doesn't need a pit at all, to try and make their way around over the next hour. As they make their way moving now, on board with Charles G. Presley. One of 6 Aquiver Motorsports drivers today. They're not all running different colours like they normally are because there is so many of them. So you have to beg our pardon if we do get confused between a couple of drivers today. So it can be a little bit difficult to tell them apart. One man who is running a different livery today, though, is man we're looking at the moment, Finn Norgard Pedersen. After coming to the championship, he's had an absolutely dominant running, almost sealing off a win, second place, and then another win. And that second place was only because of traffic. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to get by some traffic on the second to last lap of the Hockenheim ring race, meaning that Marcus Solholm managed to clinch the win. So he'll be one to keep an eye on as he's going to be pushing forward, only with 1 car ahead of him. And on the outside line for turn number 1, he should be one to watch out for. Fortunately, the start of Sebring races are tending to be quite clean because you've got the turn 1, which drivers will often go 2x2 wide, but then they often go in single file once they come through onto the exit and the run down towards turn 2. And because 9 times out of 10 they will be in single file going into that tight left-hander, we don't often see cars making contact into there, then after that is when we start to normally see all the overtakes happening. So I'd be surprised if we see a big accident at the start of this race. But with our biggest grid of LMP2 cars, yeah, it doesn't mean it's not going to be interesting.
Yeah, sorry there, Isaac, just looking at a couple of technical things in the background. But yeah, as we come round, I think, is that Tower Bend we just come round?
Yes, turn 13, yeah.
Fantastic. And yeah, Finn Norgard Pedersen will be looking for another win. Just look at how many wins he has so far.
2.
Absolutely, yeah. So he won the last time out at Mosport, and Marcus Solholm was only third, with Leif Weichel and fourth position. So we've got the top of the current crop of on-form drivers at the head of this field, as you'd kind of expect, I suppose. But yeah, violent weaving going on as we saw in qualifying. They obviously, maybe a recent update in the iRacing platform has forced them all to adopt this. But if it works, it works, and no reason why not to use it. So they come down the Ullman Straight, 2x2 they'll be.
Indeed they will. Waiting for the pace car to pull in any moment now. The pace car pulls in really late on iRacing. You think that he's going to carry on straight, but then he went, and we'll see the 4 red lights come on, or 5 red lights on your screen. We'll come on to signify about to get underway as they go 2x2. The pace cars into the pit lane, waiting to go green, and we're racing at Sebring. They make their way down to turn 1. Leif Weichel gets a brilliant start, and so does Marcus Solholm, jumping Norgard and Pedersen. Pedersen down into 3rd place, giving an angry flash of the lights there almost, as they go 2 wide further back down the pack. That's a yellow car that looks like Theo Schroeder on the outside ring, off onto the grass. That is Charles G. Presley off. Though able to make his way through safely. Everybody goes through, apart from at the back of shot. We've got Juan Manuel Sanchez and that Sylvester Levy having an accident at the start of the race. Wonder what happened there then.
I think they'll let the LMP2 car by, and we'll see if cold tyres has caught out Melanas there. And fortunately, I think it looks as if he has, and he's pulled along Sylvester Levy with him. Yeah. Ooh, as they've had another bump as they try and recover. Oh dear, that's not going to do Melanas any good. But Nicolaisen is out the lead of overall GT3. He's overtaken John Derrick there.
Brilliant start there from the amateur driver. He's going to be maybe John Derrick saving fuel, going for a strong strategy off the start of the race. That provokes Nick Olsen to the lead. I've just noticed there, still we rise on the back of his car. Little nod there to the now 7-time world champion, I'm going to say, Lewis.
Yep, 7-time world champion, F1 world champion, and knighted now as well. So yeah, very good to see. He's got a wide influence, as that is a replay of Nicolaisen being let by John Derrick for GT3 lead, and I think yeah, Derrick must be going for an early fuel-saving strategy there.
Yeah, as we jump forward now to our P2s, we're on board now with Pedersen. We saw him have a unfortunate start, although he has managed to get back by Marcus Solholm there. So that's put Pedersen, started in 2nd, dropped back to 3rd off the start of the race, and now he's back to 2nd yet again, as we're going to see if we can get a look at the replay of that. This is going into, that's through Tower Corner, going 2 wide there. Brilliant. Respectful racing through that. It's got Pedersen on the outside through there. Now on the inside, is he going to be able to brake later? I'm guessing he is, because he's now ahead. He is indeed. Marcus Solholm letting him get away, and that's the move that put Pedersen now up into 2nd place.
Brilliant stuff there, and I think Solholm did the right thing by letting him go early on in this race. Still a long way to go yet, but it's action-packed stuff all the way down LMP2. This is 4 cars all battling for 4th position really here, and Daniel Thomas is maybe falling off the back of this a little bit, but nonetheless staying within that all-important slipstream train. That yeah, all 4 cars ahead of him of Solomon, Presley, Schroeder and Coppell.
We saw in qualifying how close it was between these drivers, and it's proving to be so far in the race. As you're saying, 1 second separating these 4 cars. The lead of this train, though, we've got Charles G. Presley, newcomer to the championship and one of our Aquiver drivers. And just ahead of him will be Gabriel Salmon. Great start by the Danish driver, able to gain 3 places off at the start. Putting him up into 4th place. He's going to be pushing all guns blazing to try and close up to Marcus Solholm, who we know is not a slow driver, just up the road in 3rd place, as we can see him just there on your screen further up the track. But behind, you've got this 4 cars in his mirror angrily buzzing along behind him, who are going to be pushing as hard as they can to try and make the overtake. As there's a car running off wide, that's Charles G. Presley going off there in the number 42 Aquiver machine. Getting it slightly wrong out on the exit of turn 1, putting it onto the grass. Meaning that he's now dropped back from Gabriel Solomon. He's not going to have any slipstream, but right behind Charles is going to be Theo Schroeder. Is Theo close enough to make a move down into the hairpin? Don't know. As we see, you could see the front end pushing already. He's just got on throttle that little bit too early. And at this point here, you can see that he's heading for the grass already. Does he get out of throttle? Looking at his RPM counter there, it looks like he's got an off throttle whilst on the grass, getting back on throttle here. Yeah, so realizing a little bit too late that he has run too wide, he will get it underway again and moving forwards. Which has meant that Gabriel Solomon is now able to pull away just over a second. So he's going to be in the clear spot behind. There's going to be no slipstream for Charles G. Presley. Coming down to the Allman Straight.
Go back to the end of our GT3 pack, and Sylvester Levo goes down the inside of Juan Miguel Francis Melanas at the hairpin. So this is second in AM, now leading second in Pro. Wonder what Melanas has up his sleeve to attack back. This looks like potentially a cracking battle. Only 5 minutes in, so plenty of time to for these guys to play it out and see what they can come up with.
Yeah, last time by, Sanchez half a tenth faster, although losing the position in the slipstream. We can see the dirty airs just meant that he's dropped back ever so slightly through the twisties, but now we'll see if he's going to close up a little bit, although he's got that massive grunting BMW just up the road. Gaps up to 6/10, so still within the slipstream range, although it might not be effective enough. That'll be up to close up, although we see Levy just getting it slightly wrong through that. Being slightly wide, and then they come down onto the Allman Straight. Is Sanchez close enough to make a move? Levy trying to break the slipstream, moving from left to right or right to left down the straight. A little bit like some of you might have seen in the VLN. Kevin Estra making that overtake round the outside, defending from a similar move like that.
As we see a replay here of Bruno Miranda coming onto the back of the LMP2 field. I think he's missed his braking point there, and ooh, he's taken out Lorico Pella in the process. That's unfortunate to see, but looks like he's waited for Laurie to rejoin the circuit, and very sportsmanlike. But unfortunately, Laurie Capella has jumped back to the pit lane. So we now have another replay of Nicolaisen. Reported to have an incident in turn 3, 4, and 5. Oh, he's just dropped the right-hand rear onto the grass, looking not to get collected by. I think that must have been Derek in the McLaren. Sounds like it. Yeah, easy mistake to make, and this is a punishing circuit for our drivers this evening.
Indeed it is. You just saw there when you get so close to the edge of the track. As you look right there, you've got the white line, and then you've got just the grass, and the drivers are going to be getting as close as they can to that white line, and that's what happened if you step just over it. The car's rear end will want to rotate on you, and he's very lucky not to hit the wall or indeed another car in the process of him spinning out there. So jump forward now.
Marcus Solholm currently has the fastest lap of the race with a 47.03. Lifelike Shell in first place is only a hundredth slower than him with a 47.04. Yeah, really good pack that we've got at the head of the field here. These guys are probably A little bit of fuel saving maybe going on in second and third position for Finn Norgard Pedersen and Marcus Solholm, but Leif Weichel is certainly leading the way out the head of the field.
Yes, even though last time by Leif Weichel setting his personal best fastest lap, he's still not able to break away from the slipstream with only 8 tenths separating him and the second place car of Pedersen, and then a further 8 tenths behind him there is Marcus Solholm. So just 1.6 seconds covering these 3 cars as they come down onto the Ullman straight. 1 corner left before they complete lap number 5. Is Marcus Solholm close enough to make a move down into Sunset Corner? It looks like he's got the overspeed. Is he going for a move? No, he's not. Trying to make the best of it, although he looks like he's put a bit of pressure on Pedersen. As Pedersen runs wide, Marcus Solholm's now got the inside for the corner on the exit. Is he going to be able to stick it up the inside? Although they're side by side running across the start-finish line. Marcus Solholm marginally ahead, although that means that Pedersen's going to have the inside for turn number 1. But Marcus isn't giving up that easily, and he goes round the outside at turn number 1. Still there, Pedersen on the inside, who's going to try up the inside to turn number 2. But he's not able to stick it. Marcus Solholm with an excellent move around the outside there at turn number 1 promotes himself up into second place, and he's going to be all eyes forward to try and catch our race leader of Leif Weichel.
Yeah, so with that manoeuvre, he's 1.8 seconds off Weichel at the head of the field, just going out of shot there to our right, choosing to defend into the hairpin, turn 7 at Sebring, and these guys really need to start working together, I feel. You know, Solholm needs to make sure that he doesn't feel under pressure from Norgard Pedersen behind him. And yeah, they need to close that gap in. It's just gone over to a little bit over 2 seconds now. So if they carry on fighting like this, it's going to grow and grow to be insurmountable, I feel.
He is, but it'll be hard for Marcus not to feel the pressure as Pedersen's all over the back of his car, moving from left to right through these tight sections of corners. He's trying to put Solholm off, just like Solholm did to him just 1 lap ago, and Pedersen's going to be all over the back of that Aquiver Motorsports car, coming down into Sunset Corner. Might even be able to make a move, and whilst all this is happening, Leif Weichel in the lead is gapping even further the gap at this point. Last lap, as Pedersen loses it, just dipping 1 wheel onto the grass, and he's going to get past. He's got to be careful not to rejoin. There's cars on track, watch out. And that'll drop him all the way down into 7th, possibly even 8th place there for the Obsidian Edge driver. An uncharacteristic mistake there from our 2-time race winner.
Yeah, that I have to agree there, as Weichel's just set the fastest lap of the race so far, breaking and smashing the 1 minute 47 barrier, doing a 46.8. So he's realised that Solholm got past Norgard Pedersen behind him, and it's like, right, I'm going to put the pedal to the metal, screw this fuel saving, and let's go for it. He's potentially, this could be what makes or break the win for him.
Exactly what he's doing there is perfectly just capitalising on the mistakes behind. Realised that was his opportunity to pounce, and so he does. He has managed to open that gap up to 2.5 seconds to Marcus Solholm, but just behind, Gabriel Salomon is now being caught by Charles Presley, the American, all over the back of the Danish driver. 9 tenths of a second here, and we've seen Presley quite fast through these tight, twisty corners, so he's going to try and close up as best that he can to put him in a sweet overtaking place going down in towards Sunset Corner, where I reckon we're going to see most of our overtakes happening today. As we look forward, and John Derrick has been overtaken by Nick Olsson again. We saw Nick Olsson losing it after dropping a tyre on the grass, which has meant that John Derrick has gone backwards yet again. But if we just saw in the backer shot there, Sylvester Levy has closed up the gap from 18 seconds at the start, was the gap from when he had his accident, is now just 9 seconds to the car ahead as he gets overtaken by one of the Aquiver cars. That's Leif Weichel, our leader. He's first time through traffic after just 12 minutes of racing. So during John Derrick's fuel saving and Nick Olsson's off-track antics, Sylvester Levy's actually managed to close up the gap to less than 10 seconds now.
Very impressive stuff. He showed great pace in qualifying, and yeah, good to know that he can do the same in race format as well. very tricky car, the LMP2, through this section. The track is very abrasive. It cheats up the tyres quite a lot, but these flat corners and low speed corners for LMP2 with its high downforce and low weight do not favour it very much, and guys will be struggling to get, you can hear the over rev there as they struggle to get the power down out of the hairpin. So come up on Sylvester Levy into Cunningham Corner now. You can see Gabriel Solomon ahead, already being balked by the GT3 car. Plenty of space given there. Don't think Charles Presley will lose too much time on him. He'll get him on acceleration out of the corner, and that is the ebb and flow of endurance racing. But it's
make or break in traffic. As you just said there, it's one being stuck behind the GTs, or if you're an LMP1, the LMP2s and GTs whilst in traffic is what it takes to make or break a race. It's all important that you try and take the fastest, do the fastest overtakes on the GTs as possible, and that would be just sending it in every single corner. But not only it does gain you time, but safety is the number one priority. You want to ensure that you make it to the end of the race, as long as that your other competitors also make it to the end. So that's why we'll see these drivers not just trying to overtake at every point they get, but decide to do so in a safe manner. And that's where you really see the difference between the slightly less experienced and more amateur-like prototype drivers compared to our faster, more high rated drivers.
Yeah, it's all about risk versus reward in any type of racing, but none so more or less than endurance racing itself, with the multi-class element added into that. You know, it's all well and good having a 20-minute sprint race in your Formula 3 car and going, well, actually, if I make contact with someone, it could cost me, well, it very much could cost you the race if you have suspension damage. But being able to predict ahead of time where you're going to overtake somebody in a multi-class environment is a great skill, and if you can do that as cleanly and as quickly as possible, then you'll certainly get your stint time, your average lap times down, and that's where you want them.
Indeed it will, and not only, like you're saying there, you do get the advantage of just that safer overtaking, but you also get a big strategical advantage. Less so in this race, we've only got 4 GT cars, but in the larger races that you do, such as the official IMSA races, or if you do league events or ESS, you've got multi-class racing. It's a really good opportunity to save fuel. You see a lot of drivers taking different approaches. Some drivers will be pushing as hard as they can to get by traffic in the least time possible. Other drivers may sit back, understand that they're going to have to lose time, and so will lift off and try and save fuel. As you see a car off there, that's one of the Aquiver cars. Didn't catch which car it was. That is Larry Capella. Now he's a lap down, just being passed there by Bruno Miranda. Maybe he's just pulling over to let the other cars by. Shame to see him put it out of a... well, not putting out of... not being put out of a competitive position. There we are. But yeah, unfortunately, he's retiring back to the pit lane. That might be the end of his race. Hopefully, we'll see him get out again. But a shame to see him having issues so early on in the race.
Yeah, I have a replay of him running off circuit now, but that was at the start of this lap. Oh, took a lot of, well, took the curb, the more, and a whole car's width of, and more of dirt there on the outside. Maybe he's got the wrong circuit. But no, unfortunately, we're not aware of any other reason why he might be in the pit lane again, unless we in the pit stop window for returning back to, for finishing the race now, or I think we might be a little bit too early.
38 minutes is how long we're expecting one of these LMP2 cars to go. So that means the pit window will open after 22 minutes, and unfortunately for Larry Capella, that is not within that window. So this is an unscheduled pit stop. Hopefully it is just a pit stop, and we'll be seeing him back out on track soon enough.
So looking now at the gap and the battle for overall lead, Live Chel's doing. I thought he just set fastest lap with a 46.6, but Marcus Solholm's done a 46.5. So the battle is on, and as we can see on the graphic on the bottom right hand side of screen, it is growing, but only growing very slowly. It seems to take a step every couple of laps in Vichel's favour. So toe has been put down, you might say, Isaac, and I think those steps are probably little mistakes that one of these Solholm is making in P2. But yeah, these guys are definitely on pace with each other at the moment.
Yeah, like you said, Live Chel definitely putting his toe down at the moment. Marcus Solholm, that's the first time that he's gone faster than our race leader last time by saying a 46.5. It won't count as the official fastest lap of the race yet because he would have gotten an off-track last time by. But it is still a faster lap and Vicel completed. Possible that Vicel just made a small mistake there. But we'll be interested to look at that gap later on in the race to see what it's looking like. So go back to this battle here, Gabriel Salmon and Charles G. Presley. They've been battling since the start of the race. Gabriel Salmon up 4 positions from the start. Let's look on board with Presley, looking up the inside, not able to make it overtake, and because he was offline there through the tight right-hander, that's going to put him slightly too far back to make a move coming onto this straight here. Half a second back at the moment, and he's going to have to wait for another lap before he can try and pass again.
Yeah, Solomon's clearly feeling the pressure though, because through tower turn, he went wide on exit, had all 4 wheels on the dirt, so... Oh, there's a big slide there from Presley. Whoa, he did well to catch that. But yeah, Solomon is weaving all over the place to try and break that massive toe that these high downforce cars give you on the straights. Presley's tyres are clearly up to temperature a bit more now, not suffering the same understeer that we saw him run off early on at the first turn early on in the race. But Presley through these corners really needs to, I was about to say, get on the power really nicely and early, but he's let the cat out of the bag there, and it's run away down all the way down to turn 7. I think Presley has the pace at the moment. He just needs to perhaps scale back the efforts and the amount that he's trying, and just trust himself really, and I think he should get this one.
Yeah, he does seem to have the pace, but he seems to be every time he gets close, he can't seem to stick the overtake, unfortunately. He's just makes a small mistake when trying to overtake. We saw there. Maybe he needs to just time when he's going to overtake better, sit behind as much as he can, get up nice and close, just do a nice clean overtake when he gets onto the straight. He's got the pace to. Although that being said, the gap up to Gabriel at the moment is 1 second, with right behind him Theo Schroeder in the yellow Aquiver Motorsports car is closing it in on Charles Presley. Last time by, Theo Schroeder was 0.8 faster than Presley, so maybe Presley's now no longer looking ahead, but actually in his mirrors, as the other Aquiver Motorsports teammate is closing up behind him.
As Life Chel sets the actual fastest recorded lap of the race so far, just 1,000th of a second slower than Solholm's disallowed lap record, but yeah, still showing great pace, and good to see that both those two drivers are up there. I think the big difference here is that the Marcus Solholm and Life Chel at top 2 of the race are mid 46s, whereas this battle that we're showing on screen now are in the 47s. So, you know, 47.26 by Solomon last time round, 47.83 by Charles Presley, and Theo Schroeder 47.99. So these guys are all on a very, very similar pace, but yeah, not able to match the top 2 at the moment.
No, you're right, and I think that just shows the difference. Just the difference in pace. Now we're seeing a lot of categories in sim racing and in real life. So a lot of organisations are now going forward to using a LMP2 Pro and Am Championship. Big leagues in iRacing are doing so, as well as the WEC most notably recently, as well as the ELMS and ALMS have gone through to using a amateur championship, as we see Sylvester Levy going off the track, doing the same thing that his compatriot Nick Olshan did, dropping just the rear right wheel onto the grass and looping it out. Meant that he spun it, but just like Nick Olshan, didn't make any contact.
Unfortunately, Levi take a spin there. He's now 13 seconds off the AM lead. And we can only assume that Derek in the pro lead is doing his fuel saving strategy, but they're actually in separate championships points, so it won't actually matter if Derek. Will only be a bit of pride, I guess, that he loses rather than actual championship points there.
Oh, you never know. You've seen Derek, and his left foot, his left pedal is, well, rightly so, what deserves the championship. To be honest with you, that clutch is doing work for him at the moment, and he could be using it again. You say so, and he's lifting off. He's not even accelerating anymore, ladies and gentlemen. This man doesn't use his right pedal anymore. I reckon he's going for the full race. So keep an eye on this man. I don't think he's going to go into the pits once, and he's going to try and go a full hour on one fuel tank. That's seriously impressive. The amount of fuel saving he's doing at the moment, and the gap is less than 5 seconds to Nick Olshan up ahead.
I've never heard such a silent GT3 car, or any race car, to be honest. Well, okay, maybe, well, even electric ones these days make more noise than this. I will confess, I do watch a bit of Formula E. I do enjoy it, because to me it has a bit of endurance racing sort of mentality. It goes back a bit to, well, what John Derek is doing with his McLaren at the moment, and the LMP1 hybrid era. It's all about energy consumption and energy saving and regenerating as much as energy, or as Derek's doing today. He's mining more, he's pumping more fuel out of the ground and back into the back of his McLaren. So I do find it, Formula E, more interesting than I initially thought I would. And with that, you've got some of the best drivers and some of the biggest OEMs and, you know, traditional OEMs, as well as new electric motor manufacturers to the world, really, and really exciting stuff. I have to confess, I do actually enjoy it.
I've never watched. Actually, that's a lie. I watched one race in WEC. It was one of the Argentina races a couple of years ago. Sebastian Buemi, I know, quite famously. Formula E. Sorry, not WEC. No, I watched a lot of WEC. Formula E. He got quite aggravated out in post race in Parc Ferme, getting quite violent towards some of his compatriot drivers. Yeah, that's all I've watched of it. So it was Sebastian Buemi nearly having a fight is the only thing I've seen of Buemi, and I don't mind boxing. Seeing if it's like that every round, I might get into Formula E. You never know. As we see a change of position there, Theo Schroeder makes his way past Charles G. Presley. It's their first time making their way by in these cars. A lot. So the P2 recently, as I'm sure all of you knew at the start of the year, got BOP to comply with IMSA regulations. Now it's going slightly slower than it was before, roughly 2.5 to 3 seconds slower, around, say on average, around a track. Although they will now, with the implementation of the Real World Series, as we see Charles going for an overtake. This is what he should have been doing with Salomon as he goes up the inside very late on the brakes. That has left the door open on the exit for Theo Schroeder as Schroeder goes up the inside. Charles just running slightly too fast on entry there. He's going to have the inside for turn number 1, but we saw with Marcus how aggressive the outside line is. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Schroeder sticking around the outside. That being said, Presley putting it up the inside, making his purpose known, and Schroeder deciding to make the best of it and just sitting behind, and he'll wait for a better day to make his attempt, and I'm sure that it will come in the next few laps.
Yeah, Presley will be looking to get onto the back of Solomon at the front of the shot there and see if he can actually break the toe of Schroeder for once. He's managed to get away from a couple of cars around him, so but then Schroeder will be looking to fight back as soon as he can. Perhaps into Cunningham Corner. he's following incredibly closely at the moment. There's quite a bit of aero wash in these vehicles due to the amount of aero dependence that they have and their lightweight design. So following through the slower speed corners is quite difficult, and then even more so in the high speed corners as well, as you reduce the aerodynamic load across the tyres, and you just experience a hell of a lot of understeer. To be honest, it's not particularly nice, but nonetheless it is a skill that you have to overcome in learning these cars and learning to race them properly.
Yeah, and as you're saying about the aero wash, a lot of drivers recently, as I'm sure you all heard of in the WEC, commenting about the new LMP2s, new LMP2 BOP and the LMP1s, as we see Charles G. Presley getting a little bit of a slide on there, going round the outside of Sylvester Levy and coming back up onto the back end of John Derrick. Yeah, like I was saying, you've heard a lot of drivers in the GTE category complaining about the how they're having to slow down through some of the corners now for both LMP2s and LMP1s because of how much they're slowing down now through the corners with more weight and less downforce. So, yeah, like you're saying, there's a lot of drivers now really struggling with that multi-class element, and it'll be interesting to see what happens. I imagine next year that'll transfer through into iRacing when the IMSA BOP comes in as well. So it might over the next year see the gaps between GTs and LMP2s to comply with WC and IMSA getting even smaller in lap time.
Oh, as Melanos has gone for a quick spin at turn 1. Second and unfortunately last in GT3 Pro at the moment, and that won't help his course for the rest of the race, but a harmless spin, not managing to keep it out the barriers, and he'll continue on his way. We've seen the mid-engine cars struggle in this championship, it has to be said, whether it be early on in the race when the tyres are a bit colder and fuel loads up, or whether it be a little bit later as we see now.
It's just not easy to drive. Mid-engines are just, that been known to be difficult cars to drive. Or at least I always crash in them. As we see, there's a car in the pits with smoke billowing out of it. I wonder if that's Larry Corpella's machine. Looks like it is. Maybe he stepped away, but the engine's kept running, and that's led to his engine blowing up. That's a shame to see.
Yeah, not something good for him. Yeah, I'm interested and very highly curious as to what iRacing are going to do with the LMP2 Dallara, because there aren't any Dallaras running in the FIA World Endurance Championship. However, there are, I think there were 1 or 2 at the Daytona 24-hour in the IMSA series. But yeah, the LMP2 category has been forced to run low downforce only, which was previously only specified for Le Mans in the World Endurance Championship. So that's an attempt to slow them down as well as reducing the amount of power that they have. So now across the world, between America and the rest of the world, we have two separate different BOPs for that car. So I'm curious as to whether iRacing would actually ever implement 2 different balances performance or performance regulation, shall we say, because in iRacing you've only got the one car for the 2 different series, being the European Endurance Series and the IMSA.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right, and it's interesting you're saying that with there only being 1 or 2 Dallaras run, but the only time that we've seen a Dallara run this year was at the first round of the IMSA Sports Car Championship at Daytona. So other than that, with Chettilar Racing, we've not seen a P2 a Dallara P2 in real life racing. So people joke about iRacing adding in content as it's coming to the end of its life cycle, and it looks like they've managed to hit the nail on the head here with adding the Dallara, as it looks like, unfortunately, it's going to be going out of racing unless they're able to revivify it in the next year. But yeah, going back to what you're saying about the WEC and IMSA BOP, I'll be surprised if they're going to differentiate with the DPIs coming in. with the DPIs coming in to slow them down. LMDH coming in to slow the P2s down in accordance to that. So in reality, I'm expecting it just to be just essentially WEC. You've got the World Endurance Championship, and then there's going to be the American WEC, which just be IMSA, and looks like sooner rather than later the GTE program is going to be scrapped as well, and it's just going to be GT3s, LMP2s, and the LMDHs, LMHs that will be in endurance racing.
Yeah, and I suppose alongside that, as we see Finn Norgard Pedersen closing up on the back of Daniel Thomas, Norgard Pedersen has had a spin at Le Mans Corner early on in the race, and I'm surprised he hasn't managed to show the pace that he has in previous races by pulling through the field a little bit more, but battling for 6th position at the moment. As Life Chell sets another fastest lap. He's broken the 1 minute 46 barrier and done a 45.99. Incredible stuff. I don't think there's anything more to say. As Norgard Pedersen looks to the inside, will he be able to take the shorter route through the final corner? It looks like he has managed to do that, pushing Daniel Thomas out wide and leads across the line onto the start of lap 20.
Did he's come? That's gained him up 1 position and another position on top of that, as we've had the first of our cars into the pit lane. Gabriel Salmon has entered the pits after 34 minutes of racing. These cars, like I was saying, expecting to go around 38 minutes. So within the next 2 laps, expect to see the entire P2 field coming into the pit lane to refuel. Gabriel going slightly shorter than everyone else, trying to perhaps get that undercut so that he can gap even more to Charles Presley and the other Aquiver Motorsport drivers just behind. Board now with our leader, Live Vitchal, last time by setting the fastest lap of the race. You can see these cars getting on low fuel now, because we're looking a bit further back down the pack. Marcus Solholm did a 46.2, which is really quick, and behind him all the rest of the cars are in 47s. Life Vitchal managing to go even faster than that into the 45s. 45.990. Sorry, 49.990. That is really quick. As he comes into the pit lane now, our leaders in the pits. Marcus Solholm going for 1 extra lap, and this is where we might see the make or break between these 2 drivers. Marcus will be taking on less fuel as he'll be pitting in later. However, maybe we can't see here that Life Vitchal's pitting in to avoid a bit of traffic. So this here, I reckon, is where we're going to see the biggest change in time between the 2 drivers.
As Norgard Pedersen has come into the pit lane as well. Third of our pit callers in LMP2. Looking for an easy and quick stop, as Vitchal has just left his pit box. Goes nicely through the pace car there and rejoins the circuit behind Bruno Miranda. So he'll have just over 24 minutes worth of fuel left. About 2/3 of a tank that he previously had. Be looking to get those fastest laps in once again as soon as he can. I very much doubt that these drivers will be looking to change tyres today. They only an hour race. The payoff isn't enough. Whilst the new tyre will obviously go faster, even with a high degradation circuit like Sebring, the degradation won't be high and the payoff won't be enough to make that strategy work.
No, I agree. So like you're saying, both throughout the P2 and GT categories, be surprised to see a change of tyres as Marcus Solholm comes into the pit lane. Looks like he just caught the back of a GT3 there, but as we just saw, Life Vitchal was behind Bruno Miranda, so that's going to slow him down ever so slightly. So that's not what he's going to want, and Marcus Solholm is going to be trying to do the quickest pit stop that he can. He'll be taking on less fuel than our leader. So As we see on our track map up on screen right now, WEI is the man we're looking at. He's going to be our leader after the pit stop shuffles, and he's who Solheim's going to be trying to jump coming out of the final corner now. Is Solheim going to be moving yet? Yes, we can just see on the minimap now he's underway. They're going to be racing down towards turn 1 if going to get a move on, and he's come across the pit blend line, and Life Fight Shell able to come out just ahead of Solheim, although that gap has closed down considerably from the 3.5 seconds that it was before to not even a second, just 9/10 separating these two drivers after 38 minutes of racing and 1 pit stop.
Yeah, fantastic stuff there from Marcus Solheim. It looks like he's taken about 2 seconds less of fuel. His standing pit stop time was just under 21 seconds, 20.92 seconds, whereas Life by Shell was stationary for 23.05. So yeah, just a little bit over 2.1 seconds difference there, and that makes up for most of the difference. But then the remaining second, excuse me, will be all in skill and bravery out on that final in lap or the first out lap of Firetrack.
It was, and if you're looking now, the gap was 9/10 as they came out of the pit lane, but Life Fight Shell, after getting slightly more used to Solheim on the slightly heavier car, is able to pull away 3 tenths at the moment, 1.2 seconds gap, which means that Solheim won't have the slipstream coming down onto this Ullman straight here. So he's not going to be close enough as we look forward now to our leader in the race. First time that we've seen an AM driver leading the championship with Selena Colshan. Just 12 seconds back, we've got Sylvester Levy, and then a further 5 seconds back from there, John Derrick, first of our pro runners. So actually we've got AM and Pro. If you look at the moment, although we suspect that John Derrick is going to be trying to go on full hour on his 75% fuel tank.
The reports of an accident for Bruno Randa as he headed down to the hairpin. So, he's gone a bit hot in there and done a half spin, turned in with a bit too much speed, but he had to turn in at some point. Unfortunately, I think must have missed his braking point there, but no harm done, and he continues around in P8. So you see Marcus Solheim dip all 4 wheels onto the grass and have a little bit of a hairy moment in his chase for Life by Chow. Still a really, really close gap, isn't it? Less than a second now. But I can't help but feel that Solheim must have a little bit of a slipstream there. But nonetheless, doing a fantastic job.
Just shows how hard he's pushing, going all 4 wheels off of the track in an attempt to try and gain as much time as he can. As we look back at this little battle here, Theo Schroeder is at the helm of this battle. No, yeah, Theo Schroeder's at the helm of this battle, on board with Norgard Pedersen. Just ahead of him, we've got the Welshman of Daniel Thomas, the first of 2 Aquiver Motorsports drivers. As we see just already, he's going to be trying to do all that he can to gain past these 2 drivers and try and get up to a possible 4th place. They'll have a heck of a lot of work ahead of him to get up to Charles G. Presley, who sat in 3rd place with an 8-second gap from where he is right now. If Pedersen can come out of here with a 4th or 5th place, that is, I think, a win for him, considering where his race went at the start.
Yeah, as the sun sets and as they head towards the very much called Sunset Bend, that if the race was going on another hour longer, I think these guys would be blind into turn 17. As some very different lines were taken there through the final corner. Solomon cuts right across Daniel Thomas as Thomas is edging ahead right now.
Someone getting very close, and you look at that, Pedersen tried to make a move around the outside after getting slightly out of shape, as we see Thomas then attacking Solomon going down towards turn 2. Solomon isn't giving it to him that easily as they go side by side through the right-left corner down towards turn number 4. Still side by side, incredible racing from these 2, very respectful, leaving enough space and somehow Solomon manages to come through just ahead, but he's going to be under pressure again going down into the hairpin as Daniel Thomas looks up the inside, tries to make the move stick. Is he run too deep? Yes, he is, and he's just lost 2 positions there, Salmon and Pedersen, putting him to the back of this 3-car train. But it's not all over yet, as we look forward now to our leader of the GT3 field. Selena Kolshan comes into the pits after 43 minutes of running. Just behind him, the other BMW of Sylvester Levy is also in. Juan Miguel Sanchez, who is coming into the final corner now. We should be seeing him coming into the pits at the end of this lap. If he hasn't been fuel saving, if he has, then we can expect him to stay out a little bit longer, but he peels into the pit lane. So that's all 3 of our cars into the pits, with the exception of John Derrick, who's going to perform his witchcraft to try to complete the race without pitting.
No fuel saving to the hairpin that time round for John Derrick. Very interesting to hear. He's clearly decided that he's maybe saved enough for the rest of the race at this stage. It's pretty early to make that call, I feel. Just listen to him a little bit more around the rest of it. Or maybe he's actually decided to abandon it and therefore go as fast as he can.
Well, if he has decided to abandon it, he's got it would have been a 12-second gap before the pit stop that he's going to need to close up. So, yeah, like you said there, I think he's decided that he's not going to benefit from fuel saving, and instead is going to try to push to close that gap up, and he's going to be having a shorter pit stop anyway with the fuel saving, and he's going to be instead trying to go for the outright win.
Yeah, I think that must be the aim now for Derrick. Try and take that win. I don't think we have seen an AM winner overall in GT3, have we, Isaac?
We have not so far. Every time out, it's been this man here who's won the outright GT3 race, John Derrick. So he's not used to anything else that isn't the top step of the podium. As you go back to this little battle here, something's happened, because all of a sudden Gabriel Solman is right under pressure from Pedersen, as there's netcode damage between the 2 of them. A good, I'd say, meter there between the 2 before Salmon got spun around. It's a shame to see that when there's an accident, which the drivers can't really control, as it's more the iRacing latency. Oh no, sorry.
Not sure that was netcode, unfortunately. It looked like Solomon cut across Pedersen there. It looked very even into the corner, but yeah, I think that's a bit of a racing incident where Solomon cut across and thought that Pedersen wasn't there, perhaps, but they both continued, and unfortunately they've lost time to Daniel Thomas, but that's the way she goes at times, I guess.
Indeed it is. These cars are incredibly difficult to see out of. Even these GT3s, the blind spots on them are just so big. If you look where the driver is now, they've got that small little letterbox of a window, and then the side windows will only be 1 foot by 1 foot, really. So the blind spot on these cars is absolutely massive, and when you've got a car alongside you, it's incredibly difficult to know that they're there alongside you. So you can't really put any blame on them for this accident, as we've had a change of lead. So Marcus Solheim's now up into the lead of the race. Let's see if we can get that overtake up on camera. As we're riding on board with Thomas. No. Unfortunately not. And it was a mistake from Live Right Shell. He was running a bit deep and just dropped a wheel onto the grass. That's a shame to see. Perhaps he was going for the overtake up the inside of the BMW of Selena Kolshan there. But that there's gifted Marcus Solheim, the lead of the race. And Live Right Shell's got to do the best that he can now to keep a cool, calm head. Not get too rived up about that mistake and try and push forward. As for the second time today, we see Selena Kolshan putting a wheel onto the grass and looping it round, and that might be enough now for when John Derrick does eventually pit in. It'll hand him the lead of the race.
Yeah, unfortunate to see Nicolaisen not learning from his earlier mistakes, still pushing as hard as he was, which is always good to see, but pushing hard without... what was it? It was... oh, that sounded like an accident in the background. Oh, as Solomon's going backwards into the wall there. I don't think that is the whole story, though. Let's see what occurred. As he comes into Sunset Corner. Outbraked himself, perhaps. Or is he hit... Oh, I think he's hit the inside wall there. Maybe he got a little bit unsettled on the bumps and the car rotated him into there. That's a pain to see, isn't it? So far into the race, only 12 minutes left. Does he recover? Oh, waits for... And he's jumped back to the pits, I believe. So that's really... it's really bad news for someone who's having such a good race and such good battles up until that point.
Yeah, it just shows how quickly a race can go. Snap of the fingers from, from your high horse to all of a sudden being backwards into a wall. And that's all it takes. It's a small tap, a little bit of a mistake, and your race is over. And seeing stuff like that really makes you appreciate the gap which the leaders can create and how they can drive so consistently at such a high speed without making these mistakes.
Yeah, I know you've been effectively safety rating farming recently, Isaac. We're doing lots of Nordschleife races. These guys would be... Yeah, it's all about safety as well as pure pace on iRacing, isn't it? With the two iRating and safety rating parameters, I guess you might call them.
Yeah, it's all good and well. It's all good and well having that one lap pace, and it's fine. You being able to set the fast lap of the race, lap after lap. But at the end of the day, if you've put it in a wall, your race is over and the pace is irrelevant at that point. So I'd almost argue that being safe is more important, as this is coming out of the pits now. John Derrick, the leader of our championship in Pro, is going side by side on the exit of the corner, and that's him through to the lead of the race. Just behind is the AM driver of Selena Kolshan, who isn't going to go for the move and is just going to sit behind. So that's put John Derrick up into provisional lead of the championship, the lead of this race, sorry. And if he's got the pace, anything like we've seen in qualifying, I wouldn't be surprised if he just runs away from it here.
Yeah, I think the BMW will be able to keep up with Derrick in a straight line, but I think once you get to the corners, Derrick will be showing his, the traction that he can get out of them, as well as his pure raw pace through them being a pro driver.
Yeah, although he's not pulled away all too much here through the start of the lap. Nikolshan's just behind as we see. Juan Miguel Sanchez into the pits. When was this?
That's his second pit stop. Let's go back and have a look at a little replay from a little while ago. See if he comes a cropper anywhere. So he runs it across the grass at the exit of turn 5. Nothing too untoward there, but back on the circuit. So not entirely sure why Melanas is in the pits again. Maybe he's something that we haven't had reported.
Yeah, it could be something client side that we're not aware of. Could be having some hardware issues or something else of a similar nature. But fortunate to see him now dropping off of the lead lap of the GT3s. As we now look forward to the leaders of our outright race, Marcus Sarholm and Leif Weichel. And Weichel seems to be closing in on Marcus, last time by 7/10 faster.
Yeah, fantastic work from Weichel. He hasn't been disheartened by Marcus coming out of the pits ahead of him after leading, 30-odd minutes of the race, the opening stanza. With 8 minutes, or just less than 8 minutes left now, they've completed 5 laps left, perhaps. Minute 40 lap time sounds about right to me. Using the slipstream on the way down to Sunset Bend. I think Marcus is taking an incredibly wide line there, but getting a much straighter exit. See how the gap opens up across the start-finish line. Only 0.8 of a second there, as Weichel takes another half second out of him. So this this is on for young and old, as they say in Virgin Australia and Supercars.
It is, and this is definitely something to keep an eye on. The gap's just down to 1 second now between these two drivers. Marcus Saul is sliding all over the place from what we can see here. As Weitzel runs out onto the grass, he's pushing just as hard as Marcus was before the pit stop shuffle to try and make their way past. But that little mistake there has just cost him 1/10 of a second, and you never know, at the rate things are going, that might be the 1/10 that will separate him from coming first or second place. There we are on your screen.
He's got a bit hot in there. Weitzel missing the apex at Cunningham, missing his braking market before then. You just could feel the car start to rotate on him, but he did a fantastic job of keeping it under control. And like we've seen a couple of spills out of the hairpin.
I think it's important now in his position just to keep cool. He knows that he's got the pace to get past Marcus. He just needs to make sure that he's not overdriving the car. Looking at our timing screens now, the only time he's using mistakes as we see Marcus running out onto the grass. This is going to be his chance to overtake here. As the gap closes down, they're going side by side now, coming down towards Sunset Corner, and Leif Weitzel makes his way past that mistake there from Marcus Solheim running slightly wide has just gifted Weitzel first place and has denominated Solheim down into second place and 4/10 back already.
There's another on-track battle here. So we have Theo Schroeder chasing down Charles Presley on the back straight. These guys are less than half a second apart as they come across around Sunset Bend onto the start-finish line. They'll be starting lap 31 and heading into the 55th minute of the race. Fantastic battling when you get two LMP2 cars in pairs like this. Picking up a little bit of dust in the exit of turn 1, braking hard into turn 3. I've got to be honest, I haven't looked at the liveries of the Aquiver Motorsports cars in too much detail previously, but I do quite like the matte and gloss mix that they've got on them. Really quite a good feature. As Schroeder's flashing the lights into turn 7, so you break into the hairpin. He's trying to put Charles Presley off, but these guys are pretty high I rating if I recall correctly.
As they go side by side down towards Cunningham Corner, not able to make the overtake stick. I get what you mean with the deliveries. I'm not sure what they are. I can see by the rear wheels there's some kind of, it looks like a bear. You see there's bear's eyes, and I don't know what the rest of it is.
I hadn't spotted that before. I was about to say zebra stripes for the rest of it. Maybe some, yeah, that was quite a good theme there. We'll briefly have a look at a replay of, I think, fortunately Bruno Miranda's suffered another little incident going into Cunningham Corner. Oop, he's just locked the fronts up. And little quick trip across the grass, and he'll come across just fine.
Not his race today, unfortunately.
No, but we'll keep our eyes on this battle for third place. So this is our for the battle for our final podium position. Sorry. Slightly different lines there by Schroeder on the entry to turn 1, making sure that all of the air goes across the nose of his car. Oh, as he gets a little bit crossed up into turn 3. And I'm getting reports that Marcus Solheim has had an incident. He is now 15 seconds behind Leif Weitzel. Oh, that's a huge moment. Oh no, and it snapped on him. Oh dear, that's terrible. He was doing so well up until then. And I had such a good job, but he's lost the front nose after that heavy impact. And I don't think his wheels are pointing particularly straight as designed.
You're not even, forget the win, but he might not even be getting a podium at this rate. He's hemorrhaging time at a rate of knots. There's a massive accident that we just saw there. But unfortunately, that's going to drop him out of the podium places, as if we look just up the road, there he is. And this is us riding forward with fourth, soon to be third place, and unfortunately that's going to drop him out of a podium position.
Oh yeah, you can see the huge difference in speeds there as Schroeder and Presley came past him. I think Life Vichel will be breathing a sigh of relief here, but this doesn't mean that this battle has died anymore. These guys are now going for second place points.
They are, and it's just up the stakes more than anything else. They're both almost guaranteed a podium if they can both just screw their heads on here, which would be a podium all round for Aquiver Motorsports. In fact, it'd be a top 5 for Aquiver Motorsports. When you have a word with Marcus here, it's Aquiver eSports Championship, and it's Aquiver Drive, but what's going on here?
but it also shows how, as you said, like how much Marcus was pushing and how much it means to him. I mean, you know, it is their first championship that they've organised, and it's good to see a good participation from their crew. And there's obviously a lot of pride on the line here, a bit of bragging rights amongst the team, and everything like that. So, yeah, unfortunate to see him have a win. Have that huge accident where it did snap on him as Presley goes wide at the hairpin. Maybe he's now vulnerable to Schroeder.
It has indeed. He's left the door just open enough for Schroeder to try his way around the outside at Cunningham Corner. Fortunately, not going to be close enough to make the move stick. No, he's not. So Presley's going to hold second place for the moment. As they come round, it's going to be about to start the final lap of the race, if not this. Yeah, about one more lap to go after this one before the end of the race. Life Vitchel's going to cross the line with 15 seconds left on the clock. So this is the final lap of the race that he's just started now. So that leaves one more lap for Theo Schroeder to try and make this move on Charles Presley. And I've just noticed Charles Presley's car, red, says blue on it, but we'll ignore that right now as Schroeder's going almost 4 wheels off the track to try and make his way up the inside. He's going to have the inside line, and Presley's running very wide on entry. That is a very nice overtake from Schroeder. If there was grass there, that was very almost very Kevin Estra-like.
Yes, I'm sure Kevin Estra will be watching at his home, willing everybody onto the grass to make a pass on the grass, but no, it's a fantastic overtake there by Schroeder.
Indeed it was. So now with half a lap left to go, Charles Presley's going to have his work cut out to try and make that position back. If by chance Kevin Estra is one of the 7 viewers, you can sign up to Aquiver or ISRC. That's by chance if you are watching this.
Or maybe even there are a few rounds of the ISRC's Porsche Championship there. Maybe you can show everybody else how it's done.
Exactly. Shameless plug. But here we are looking at going back to Marcus Solheim. That is one sad P2. He's going slowly. I presume he's just going to wait to be passed by Life Vitchel so that he's not going to have to endure another lap, which unfortunately will put him off the lead, but will mean that he gets to finish the race.
Yeah, it didn't look like his steering was particularly straight there. As Life Vitchel comes round the final corner, as it, are correct, Marcus Solheim waiting for him there, and a fantastic win for Life Vitchel. That is his first win of the championship.
That is awfully impressive, and to do so in such a dominant style. He had that one mistake going out of the hairpin corner, which cost him a position which he was fortunate enough to get back again, but by far the fastest car on track today. And then this man here, Theo Schroeder, coming through to take a very well-deserved second place in the race. Once he got past Charles, he was able to just pull away like a madman. The gap's up to 2.5 seconds at the line, as we also see our winner in Pro, but also our championship winner, John Derrick, coming across the line to win not only the 6th consecutive race in the row, but also the Aquiver eSports GTE Pro Championship. So congratulations to him, as well as these two gentlemen out on stream right now, Sheila Nikolshan, who won the AM race, coming 2nd overall, and Sylvester Levy second in the AM race, and third overall. So podiums all around for the GTE drivers, exception of Miguel Sanchez, unfortunately, as Life Vitals doing victory donuts, half on the grass, half not. So congratulations to all the drivers.
So we'll take a look at our overall standings. So Life Shell had a convincing win in the end after Marcus Solholm's incidents at the end, taking the win by just under 25 seconds over Aquiver Motorsports teammate Theo Schroeder. Charles Presley in third position. I think that was his first outing for the championship, perhaps. Yes, I believe it was. Yes. So that's a good showing for him in 27 seconds off the lead, not far behind Schroeder. I think getting balked a bit by GT traffic in the end on that final lap and denying him another crack at Schroeder. There, Daniel Thomas, the Welshman, Aquiver Motorsports, 35 seconds back, and Fingal Norgard Pedersen having his worst performance of the championship so far, with a fifth position that he's either been first or second since he joined the championship. And then Bruno Miranda finishing just inside the league lap, 2 minutes behind. Good to see another driver out there enjoying themselves after a couple of spills, but nonetheless did a fantastic job. Marcus Solholm, after his trouble in the final few minutes, finishing one lap down on Life IHL. And in GTs, we had John Derrick take the overall win for the GT cars. A fuel-saving strategy that didn't quite play off for him this time round, but nonetheless he gave it a good go and leads, takes maximum points in the Pro Championship, and as Isaac said, wins the Pro Championship. Silas Nikolaisen takes another win. That's his third win in GT3 Sylvester Leve, I think, had good pace today, but unable to keep it together. And Gabriel Solomon, Juan Melanas, and Laurie Capella round out our non-finishers.
Congratulations to all of our finishers and race winners. Speaking of race winners, welcome to the commentary box, Life Shell, for your first win of the championship. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So you had a fairly dominant run today. So you got a pole position and then managed to pull away. You unfortunately had a little mess up on the exit of the hairpin corner, but other than that, a near flawless race from yourself. Did you put a lot of practice into that? And how did this race go as a whole along with that?
To begin with, I had quite a good start where I jumped the other people at the start, so I got a big gap, and I just continued forward with good pace and good lap times, and including that building up the gap, so I made it even bigger. And then the little mistake I had at the hairpin, I was getting a little pressured from Marcus behind, so I thought I could brake a bit later, and then I messed up my braking point.
Yeah, and even after that, you're able to you're still able to make the win. Marcus making that little slip up there, we were looking at the timing screens and you seemed to be just about faster than him. Do you reckon that was because you were conserving your tires, or do you reckon it was just outright pace?
To be honest, I wasn't conserving tires at all. I was just going flat out every lap and trying to increase the gap. And sometimes I was like half a second, 8/10 faster than Marcus a lap. So I just build on that and keeping up the pace to make the gap even bigger.
Yeah, it looked like on some laps, as you say, you had some fantastic pace there. Were you particularly worried about him after the pit stops, or did you have confidence that you could pull away and break that toe?
I was a bit scared that he was that close because before the pit lane he was 4 seconds behind, and after pit lane he was 7/10. So I was a bit concerned that he was only 7/10 behind me. So I thought I had to again increase the tempo of the race so I can increase the gap and get him off my toe.
Oh, a fantastic job there. And yeah, first win of the championship. No, well done.
Thanks.
Congratulations. That was Life Shell, the winner in LMP2, superb drive from him. Speaking of superb drives, everything's been kind of shadowed by this man here. 6 races, 6 wins. John Derrick, congratulations not only on winning today, but also you've won the GT3 Pro Championship. So congratulations, sir.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. I today I almost went all in on a busted flush, I guess. Realized about 20 minutes to go, I still need to save about 20 more litres. And the gap's quite big now. Yeah, so it wasn't without its risks and stuff, yeah. Had a few iffy moments bumping around on the track as well, but yeah, managed to get the win, thankfully, yeah. So championship as well, which is really good.
Oh, that's good to hear. Congratulations. We saw that you were fuel saving. Watching on our time screens and riding on board with him, there's no way that he can do it. Unfortunately, he weren't able to do it. But obviously, just 2 weekends ago, there was the iRacing official N24. Firstly, did you compete in it? How'd you do? And if you did compete in it, did you make a pit stop? Because with your fuel saving and the hills at the Nords, I wouldn't be surprised if you managed to do the full race on 1 tank of fuel.
Yeah, so no, we did the N24. It started on pole, and then we just had issues about like 5 or 6 hours in, so we just retired about 12 hours in. So yeah, but I really wanted to save some extra fuel. I was like, we can save 8 laps, it's fine. But everyone else was like, no, it's all right. But yeah, no, yeah. I mean, it's always fun to try and save fuel like that. I mean, yeah, it's like compared to most sport, I was always like, it's going to be difficult to do it there because I was saving into every corner, and there's no gravity to help you at this track. Like, it's so flat. Like, it was just a case of I couldn't find anywhere else to save fuel. Basically, it was like, and my pace, I was losing a couple of seconds a lap doing that, so I just knew I just had to push. And then I pitted, and then I missed my pit box, and I went, oh no, I've absolutely busted this race, haven't I? I was like, I've absolutely exposed myself. But yeah, so thankfully things weren't too bad. So yeah, managed to get the win.
Yeah, well, congratulations on your win and both here and in the championship. You got any questions from yourself, Martin?
Yeah, how did the good old McLaren handle all the bumps today? You a fan of Sebring in that car, or you prefer to drive something else perhaps, or maybe redevelop the car?
Yeah, I think in terms of Sebring, it's not my favorite track. I like the track, but without much downforce, it's not very fun. Especially the final corner and the first corner. Like, so for 12 hours this evening, we ran GTE, and I literally got in the car. I was like, oh, I actually feel like I'm not going to crash every time I take these corners now. Like, but I think it's a bit of a challenge. Yeah, it's just a bit bumpy. But I think that's the same with everything, really, isn't it? It's just the track surface. So yeah, it wouldn't be my preferred car. I think it's pretty quick there. I mean, my pace was a bit iffy, a bit of a tough challenge, I guess, compared to flatter circuits.
Fair enough. So you think next time out at Silverstone, that track will suit the car a little bit more then?
Yeah, McLaren's usually pretty strong there. But yeah, I don't know. Silverstone isn't one of my better tracks, but we'll have to wait and see. So it should be good fun.
Well, you've heard it there from our GT Pro Championship winner that he's not particularly confident going into the next track, but I don't believe him, to be honest. Do you, Isaac?
No, not at all. He's going to win. Yeah, come on, guys. So it'd be like when you're at a fair, try and break this, try and hit this. Come on, everyone, come along, try and beat John Derrick. Do the best that you can. Congratulations, John, on your win today, and best of luck going forward in the rest of the series. Although at this point, it's just I guess just for merit at this point now.
Yeah, it's still a few more races, so going to give it all my all still. So yeah, should be fun. Thanks to you guys as well for the broadcast as well.
It's been our pleasure. It really
not a
has.
problem, John. Yeah, I suppose you're now going for the full set then.
Yeah. We wish an early bedtime on a Monday evening yet, but it's fine.
Well, good luck with that, and yeah, we'll let you go. That's another fantastic performance. Well done.
Cheers, guys.
So that was John Derrick, our winner of the GT3 Pro Race and also the GTE Pro Championship. So congratulations to him and the whole Rottenberry Racing crew. Now welcome into the commentary box, the winner of our AM race and second overall, Selena Colshan. Congratulations on your second place. How did the race go from your perspective?
quite like a little like last time. There didn't happen much. I think Sylvester had a crash in the first corner, and then we weren't able to, and I weren't able to battle with him because he was far behind. Yeah, and there didn't really happen much.
No, that's fair. It's a difficult track to drive on, Sebring, and we saw you making getting a one tire on the grass twice, going into turn number 2, getting to spin round. Is that just the BMW is a massive car? Is it just so big that you can't not get on the grass? And how does the BMW handle Sebring as well, just with its big style, and you can't really see where either side of the car is?
I think it feels very good on the track. There's just it is a bit big, and in some of those small parts in Sebring, you have a little trouble finding space for it, especially into turn 2.
Yeah, no, very well. So, you got any questions yourself, Martin?
I believe you were only P2 on the grid in the Am Championship. Were you worried at all by Sylvester? I know he fell back at the beginning, but you showed reasonable pace throughout the race. There, any worried from yourself, or did you think you'd have it in the bag anyway?
No, I didn't, because I knew from before the race that we would have a similar pace, and I wasn't sure of anything before it had a crash in the start.
Fantastic. And heading next week to Silverstone, you looking forward to that circuit, or you think the big Beamer will struggle there a bit?
I don't know. I think it's fine for the car. I just don't like the circuit very much. So we'll see.
Very well said. So we've got 2 drivers now that aren't looking forward to Silverstone next week. Although personally, I absolutely love the track. But congratulations, Selena Kolscher, today for your second place, and good luck carrying forward the rest of the championship. And hopefully, you'll be able to take the Am Championship crown at the end of it.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. That was Selena Kolscher, our GT3 Am winner today. In the commentary box now, we do have our series founder, Marcus. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right, I guess. Was a very, very fun race until like the last 3 laps or something were over. It is what it is.
Yeah, you see to you saw you run wide a couple times on the exit of turn 1. We're just saying about how it shows how hard you guys are pushing to try and keep up with one another. It looked like yourself and Life were having an absolute dogfight on the lap times to try and get ahead of one another. But unfortunately, today just wasn't your day.
Yeah, Norm was actually really quick today. I had to kind of concentrate to keep up with him, which like props to him for the win as well. But the final couple of laps, I think I had tried to fuel save a couple of laps before because I didn't have enough fuel because I auto-fueled a bit. And in that process, I managed to absolutely destroy my tires. So when I came behind Live, there was dirty air, as well as my tires were absolutely messed up. So I just went straight onto the gravel and into the wall.
Yeah, you had a good chance. You had a good go at saving it, but unfortunately the car snapped back the other way. That was really unfortunate to see. But yeah, as you say, I think you had about 2 seconds difference sat in the pit stop, so that will have made probably 1 or 2 laps difference in fuel. Do you reckon?
I think he fueled 48, he said, and I fueled 45, so that's a second on that. And then I had a really nice in lap, and he had more fuel in his out lap, so that's also a bit. And then I guess just small things like that make a huge difference.
Yeah, understandable. But no, I think Life did a fantastic job today. And
yeah,
you the faster corners throughout Sebring, do you struggle with aero push? Do you lose the front end of the car much?
That's actually a solid question. I don't know. I've never really been a big fan of Sebring anyway, so yeah, I don't. And also the setup. I don't know. I think it was just my mind that was absolutely messing with me because it felt so weird in comparison to Sebring 12 but I guess that's a long time ago now. So yeah, I guess that's just my mind messing with me.
Understandable. And then you pulled over for the last lap, so you didn't have to endure another lap with crooked steering and no front end, I guess.
Yeah, that as well. I think I would have been overtaken by Bruno anyway, so I just saw because you know you have those 3 laps where you before you get DQ and after that meatball flag. So I was just like, all right, let's just stop it here. I don't want to get disqualified.
It's a fair thing. Fair thing to say. Unfortunately, your race didn't go well today, but you've got 3 more rounds left of the championship. For the people who are listening at home, is there anything you can say to the guys who might want to race here?
Click the link in the description.
Very, very well said, Marcus. So coming into the round, you had a 14-point lead ahead of Tio. I can't exactly remember how many points you'll get for finishing 7th, but Tio only scored 2nd place points there, so it's going to be very tight at the top of the championship. It should be fantastic heading into the final couple of races.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right about that. If I finish 7th here, I'll get 9 points, so he'll gain 11 points on me, so it'll be like a 3 points difference or something. Which, yeah.
Well, sets it up brilliantly for the final run to the finale at Daytona. So next week out, we'll have Silverstone full Grand Prix layout. And then after that, we'll head to Road Atlanta, which will be another tricky circuit in these LMP2 cars, the undulations there. And changes of direction should make it a fantastic spectacle to see. And then, a final at Daytona. And where better to have a final? It is a fantastic circuit steeped in history.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to the final 3 rounds, and there's no break in between, so it's just straight to the end.
I know we can't wait, and I'm sure the guys at home will be just the same. If you're not signed up, like Marcus, click the link on the description below to join the Discord and get yourself involved.
Yes.
So from myself and Martin here at ISRC TV, thank you all very much for watching tonight for round number 6 of the Aquiver eSports Championship. Next time you'll be seeing us for round number 7 out at Silverstone, like Martin and Marcus both said. So so we'll catch you guys next time. Have a good one.
Thanks very much.